The night was impenetrably dark. Only the dim light of the headlights illuminated the narrow forest road where the old pickup truck was moving slowly. Emily was driving, and her friend Brian was in the passenger seat. "Are you sure we're not lost?" Emily asked worriedly, looking out the darkness outside the window. "Don't worry," Brian answered, trying to sound calm. "The map says we're on the right track. It won't be long now." Emily hummed nervously. She hated night drives on forest roads, especially in this darkness. The feeling of being watched from the darkness made her shiver. "Are you sure Jess and Mike are waiting for us?" she asked. "Maybe they're already gone, tired of us being late." "Come on. They promised to wait for us so they could start hunting together," Brian assured her. "Besides, they say there are some interesting trophies here." A few minutes later, a signpost appeared ahead, confirming that they were heading in the right direction. Not far away was an abandoned factory, the location of their upcoming hunt. Soon, the pickup truck turned off the road and travelled down a dirt path that led to an old industrial complex. Emily peered anxiously into the darkness, trying to make out any sign of their friends. But there was complete silence all around. "They must be inside by now," Brian suggested, parking the car. "Let's go take a look." Emily reluctantly followed him, clutching the flashlight tightly in her hand. As they approached the main entrance, they found the massive steel gates open wide, as if inviting guests inside. Brian was the first to step through the threshold, and Emily, sighing, followed him. "Jess? Mike? Are you in here?" Brian called softly, but there was no response. They moved forward slowly, looking around cautiously. Suddenly, Emily noticed something strange. In the corner of the room, she could make out the vague outline of a tall, thin figure. The girl's heart jumped with fear. "Brian, do you see it?" she whispered, pointing at the strange silhouette. As soon as the beam of light touched the mysterious figure, it instantly disappeared, as if dissolving into darkness. A loud noise was heard in the back of the room. They synchronously turned around at the sound, peering into the darkness. At first they could see nothing, but then the vague outline of a moving creature emerged from the gloom. It was coming toward them, making strange, eerie noises. "What the hell is going on here?" Emily whispered in panic, gripping the flashlight tighter. Brian remained silent, keeping a wary eye on the approaching figure. Suddenly he grabbed Emily's arm sharply. "Run!" he shouted, turning around and running for the exit. Once out of the building, the friends climbed back into the pickup and hurriedly slammed the doors shut behind them. Emily was breathing heavily, and Brian looked around nervously, as if expecting their stalker to appear out of the darkness at any moment. What the hell was that? Emily exhaled, still out of breath. "I don't know," Brian answered, starting the car. "But I'm not going to stick around to find out." When they finally pulled onto the main road, Brian relaxed slightly. "There, see? It's all over," he said, glancing at his friend. "I think Jess and Mike are long gone by now." Emily felt like they were being haunted by some dark, sinister force. "Brian, what if Jess and Mike are still out there?" "We can't leave them," she said excitedly. Brian sighed heavily, realizing Emily was right. They couldn't just run away, leaving their friends behind. "Okay," he finally said, "but we have to be extra careful. Something tells me there's something scary going on out there." Turning the pickup truck around, they drove back toward the abandoned factory. As they drove closer, they saw the light from their car reflecting off someone's eyes, watching them from the darkness. Emily shuddered. "Did you see that too?" "Yes," Brian replied tensely. "There's something out there. Maybe we should call the police." Emily swung the door open and got out of the car. Brian shook his head, but followed her. They walked slowly toward the entrance, shining flashlights around them. Inside, everything was still plunged into darkness. Suddenly, Emily noticed something and turned around sharply in time to see a tall, thin figure seemingly disappearing into thin air. "Did you see it?" she whispered to Brian. He nodded nervously. Suddenly, a sound caught their attention, like someone sighing sadly somewhere ahead of them. As they got closer, they recognized two familiar silhouettes sitting on the floor. It was Jess and Mike. They seemed to be in a trance-like state. "Jess! Mike, are you okay?" Brian exclaimed, rushing toward his friends. But as soon as he got close, they both suddenly jumped to their feet and ran away with inhuman speed, disappearing into the darkness. What the hell was going on? What had happened to them? But Brian remained shockingly silent, unable to find the words. Suddenly another, this time a much louder, drawn-out sigh sounded behind them. They turned around and froze, paralyzed with fear. Out of the darkness, a tall, thin figure slowly floated toward them. It was shapeless, as if it were made of shadows. There was no face on it, only a white, faceless mask. Suddenly, the figure swung forward, and at the same instant, Brian grabbed Emily's arm. "Run!" he shouted, jumping out of his seat. When Emily looked back, she saw the creepy creature following fast behind. Its white mask, devoid of any features, was mesmerizing and terrifying at the same time. Finally, they burst outside and, without stopping, raced toward the pickup truck. Once inside, they slammed the doors shut and locked them. But nothing happened. Only silence reigned around them, broken only by their intermittent breathing. "What was that?" Emily asked in a shaky voice. "I don't know," Brian exhaled, gripping the steering wheel. "But we have to get out of here. Now." The pickup truck sped off, leaving behind the abandoned factory and all the horror they'd experienced there. Emily couldn't stop thinking about that faceless creature slowly approaching them out of the darkness. Who or what was it? And where had Jess and Mike gone? The answers to those questions she would likely never know again. Emily was sure she could feel someone's steady, unwavering gaze on her,